Hello and welcome to Soul Love with Candz. I am Kim van der Zande, your host, and I'm super excited to share another episode of Soul Love with you, where we share inspirational and empowering stories from the heart. We talk about the beauty and the shadows as both are part of the ascension journey, to remind you that you are powerful, you are magical, and to have trust in what you feel to be true deep within. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Before we start the next Soul Love conversation, I want to invite you to check out my amazing book, Activating the Flower of Love, a sacred guide for manifesting your deepest desires and highest calling. This sacred book, filled with powerful tools and activations, will guide you to open your heart to the beauty and wisdom within you, empowering you to create the life you deeply desire from the foundation of love. You can find Activating the Flower of Love in all the major online and offline bookstores in ebook or paperback, or you can check it out through my website, Candz.nl, where you can also discover the different ways of working with me and the latest updates on new starting programs. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Soul Love, and I'm super excited to share with you the beautiful frequencies of my soul sister, Candz Donadel. Welcome within this sacred space.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm so excited to share this space with you. We met in Egypt. We were in the tombs, and we just landed up walking side by side and exchanged some beautiful comments, and that's how our connection started. And I think it was mainly a remembering of something, that was lifetimes and lifetimes ago, which is so beautiful. And here we are today.
Yes, almost a year later. Well, almost a year later. It's interesting how this year really, for all of us, I think it was such a transformative year, and really going to Egypt awakened so much light. But also what I also love, like your message is everywhere you go, you bring lightness and you bring inspiration. And I think that's beautiful. And that also resonates deeply because it's so important. Like we are bringers of light, or we are holders of light. So to also really honor that within ourselves. And I think also what you do so beautifully. So the contribution we can bring in each and every conversation, in each and every interaction we have with others. So it's really amazing. I'm grateful that we have re-met in this lifetime and that I get to share your energy with the world. Because have you always been this positive? Have you always been in this state where we know that certain things happen, but you constantly see the positive and you constantly know that there's more to life, or were there things that clicked for you while you grew up, or?
No. From a very young age, there's two parts to this. I was very shy. I was so shy that I would die if somebody came to speak to me and there were other people around. It made me feel like I was significant when I wasn't. And I mean, that's so far from the truth. I remember being very young, probably around 10 years old, and thinking, I don't want to be this way. I don't like this part of me, because I can't do anything. I can't get up on a stage and talk. I can't do speeches at school. Wow. So I made a choice that I don't want to be shy, and I want to be outgoing and extrovert. And then my whole life since then, that's what I've been. Yes. And now it's so different, because I'm going back into being that inner child and embracing that shyness. And if I'm in a social situation and I don't feel like talking, I'm not uncomfortable with that uncomfortableness anymore.
Yes.
And with regards to the positivity, I just also realized, it's a choice. You can choose to be sad about something or see the brighter side of life. And it's been great for me, because I've always looked at the positive. But again, now in hindsight and just going back and looking at, old wounds that are maybe covered up, it's because I didn't want to feel sad, because sadness makes you feel like you're going to die because you feel helpless. But it's such a beautiful emotion. And we came here as human beings to experience all of that, good and bad. So that's I'm very positive, but now when sadness comes, I embrace it, and I know that it's not going to last forever.
But I think that, because it's not even per se about always being positive, but it's knowing that even through going through our shadows or feeling these emotions we have maybe put away, knowing that there's always light, knowing that there will come a shift where you feel different again. So it's almost like the positivity is also not being afraid of these parts of you anymore. And I love what you're sharing also about making a choice. Because I also know when I was sick a couple of years back, I really made a choice. I'm not doing this anymore. I am becoming better and even better than I was before. And I did. But it is that moment where we decide, like, it's done. I'm not like you when you were younger saying, I don't want to be shy anymore. And see what you created. But now also from the things you've learned and you've experienced, being able to go back and to really honor yourself. And I think just in general, also, like, we are so afraid sometimes of the silence within ourselves, the silence within conversations. But I think the most magical things happen in the silence, but it means stepping into this space that might feel uncomfortable or out of control sometimes. I think people are also a lot of times afraid of really what happens if I tune into my emotions, if I let off that lid. What happens when I allow my life force energy to flow, or to let this floodgate of emotions come? Or I don't know how that is for you, but I think that's a powerful, if we are not afraid of that anymore.
Yeah, and it's okay to be out of control. In fact, that's what we should strive to be, is completely out of control. Yeah. And in our lives, I mean, society's always taught us, subconsciously even, that we need to have control of situations, having businesses, being a boss to people, being a parent. It all has some level of control and responsibility. Yeah. And now it's like, no, unlearn everything that we've learned. And it's okay, because when things are out of your control, you don't stress about them. You just let go into the flow of life. And that is so beautiful. Easier said than done, but most definitely something that we should strive for now.
I think so. And it's also a mastery. It's really a mastery piece. It sounds easy, and it's always easy to share, but really doing that, it's not always easy, because it will hit all your safety mechanisms. It will hit, I shared with you in a conversation like a week ago, but more also for myself. There are certain situations where I'm stretching myself beyond what I would have done before. But through me stretching, I learn so much, and it's letting go and really trusting, leaning in, so that even more magic can happen, instead of, it's sometimes also letting go. So we set a goal, or we set a certain desire that we want to reach, but then letting go and knowing that you've put that out there. So your intention is there, but maybe something else is needed. But by you already being willing to let that intention or that desire have an energy or a build-up in yourself, already creates so much growth that it then allows you to move with the flow. There's a whole energy that is aligning to that. But that's the most scary thing. Really allowing yourself to be you. I love that. There is some, I think it's like, I don't know the English word, like the innocent, like the little beautiful. It was flowing as a confirmation of this. But it's also, again, I love your background, like believing in angels or connecting to something bigger than ourselves. But in the end, it is ourselves, but it's the thing we can't see. I think that's it. Like,
and I'm so glad you mentioned that now, because I actually had an awareness and a huge realization the other day, is that we are all one. I mean, we know that, but I realized that I was creating a separation between my higher self and source, and it's one of the same. And I was ignoring one to communicate with the other. And I realized I don't have to do that, because my higher self is source. It's all encompassed. It's all, and my higher self is your higher self. That's society, and the way that we brought up is all about separation, So that was huge for me.
That's you. Yeah, that is. But that's used. But it's also like inseparable. Like we think we need to think of a solution or need to fix something, but it is not broken. That's the same with, you think you need to connect to source, but it's being open to receive, because it's already there. So it's coming from a whole. I think if we can shift that, because it really feels empowered. Everything is already here. It's just you being open to connect with it, or you being open to receive it, and to, So that's beautiful, a beautiful awareness. What did it shift for you when you connected with that awareness, or how did you?
I think I've been listening to a couple of meditations from different people. I like putting myself out there into different sort of, different modalities. Again, it's a modality is, again, in a way, the world's way of separating, because And so religion, at the end of the day, it's all coming from the same place. So I was listening to somebody and he was just explaining, you know, connect to source. And when you're in a bad space, you know, you just take a breath, maybe put your hand on your heart and just breathe in and connect. And I was like, wow, I've been doing that anyway, but I've been talking to source and not my higher self. And then I was like, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The knowing comes from the same place. And the creator of all that is.
I love that. Yeah. And from that space, you also feel empowered to, because you know, but it's a huge concept to understand. It's like, I think in life, we constantly deepen into the awareness of that. It's a constant deepening spiral. But if we are really, truly part of everything, it also means we can just tune into everything and manifest quickly, or we can, but it's also, I think, sometimes difficult, because it also means that somehow, if our life isn't the way we want it to be, it's an own manifestation, or somehow within our field, we have created that, and it's looking to, most of the time, the subconscious messages that are sending that out. And that is, again, being willing to go into our shadow layer. So I love that. Yeah. And I love that also, like, yeah, please share.
And I was just going to say that in a linear way, I mean, we always get what we want. You know, if we manifest and we have a target or a goal, later on in life, if you look back, you'll realize, oh my gosh, you know, you'll find an old piece of paper with some of your wishes for new or something like that. And then you look and you're like, oh my gosh, I asked for that. And it did show up, but it never shows up exactly how we think it will. And again, it's being open to receive that. You know, if you want a red sports car and you land up getting a blue one, are you going to send the blue one back because you wanted the red one? No, it's receiving it all in whatever colors it may be.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. But also, I think also the key is, like, you find in the example, finding the letter a couple of years later, because most of the time when we set our goal, we so want to hold on to it, like it needs to happen now, or it needs to happen a certain way. But it's more, indeed, you've set your goal and then it's letting go. And I know that's sometimes not easy, but I think the magic is in that, because then there's no pressure, there's no awareness of separation. Because I think also we are so programmed to think in lack. Oh, I don't have this, or I don't have, and to come back to know everything you need is already within you. And from that, it can flow, instead of, again, being separate from source, or being separate from the thing you want to have, or, so that's really
And that goes hand in hand with the way that we say, oh, I'm going to be happy when this happens.
Yes.
When I lose weight, my life's going to change. When I get money, I'm going to do this. Why do we limit ourselves with that? Because why can't we choose it right now?
Yes.
You know, and then the universe will support us. But we've got to make the choice first and then get the support. It's not the other way around, because if we wait, we're going to be waiting for a very long time.
Yeah, it is. But that's also the scary thing, because we're making the decision, and then it comes back to trust. Do you really trust so much that you are being carried by God, source, by your higher self, whatever you name it, but that you are being held, that you are being supported, carried when you make a decision, that everything aligns to create, because everything is already there. And I love your story as well with Egypt. Like, you didn't know how, but you said, I'm going, and the money came. But sometimes the money doesn't come a year prior, so you have the safety, because it's also a growing journey with everything we do. Yeah, and then are we willing to stretch ourselves, or are we willing to come out of our comfort zone? And I think also we are within a powerful energetic window with a lot of planets going straight. But it's also us deciding, what are we going to do with this? Because if we're staying in our comfort zone, or if we're staying like, I don't want anything to change, or I don't want to, then nothing happens. It's like, you still need to take action, or you still need to make a decision, or you still need to, and then the universe can support you. But I think and you're such a beautiful example of that, but it's taking the decision, I'm going to do that. I'm going to create. And then it happens, and then it aligns. Yeah. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I mean, I committed to that Egypt trip when it was first being, started and organized. And every couple of months you would check in and say, look, I know that your project hasn't launched yet, and there's always next year. And I was like, no, you're not taking me off that list. My I'm still coming. And then, like, literally 5 days before we were supposed to give the 50% deposit, she was like, are you sure? And I said, yes. I didn't know that I wasn't sure at all, but I was just like, if I'm meant to go, I'll go, and the money will show up. And I kid you not, 24 hours before, I ended up getting maybe $200 more than what I needed for my husband and myself.
Yes.
And then just before we left for Egypt, more money arrived. And then while we were in Egypt, more money arrived. So I actually came home with more money than I left with.
Then you
When you go on holiday.
yes.
Just being in complete trust. Like obviously the fears came away because I didn't want to let my friend down. I didn't want to let my husband down. But I just carried on because there was that knowing that I was going to go, and it was meant to be, and it did. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it truly was. Yeah, I love that. But that's how it works. But when you made the decision, you didn't know. So it's also you having such a faith in knowing that you'll be there, and then the universe aligns. But I think that's sometimes the most difficult part, to have such a trust in that. And especially, I think also the shift in that, because we have so been taught to think about things with our mind. And sometimes, especially like with these manifestations, they happen not in a way that we sometimes can think about it, or it's again out of control. So it's letting go of control. It's not something like, okay, I do this 10 steps and then I reach my goal. No, it's you setting a goal and then allowing inspiration to come and to take aligned action from really the divine feminine way. This is a beautiful example of manifesting in the divine feminine way, of really setting a goal, receiving, and then being in the receptive mode to receive the next step or to receive the next guidance. So yeah, it's amazing. But it's also difficult. Like what did you do in yourself to really, to stay in that trust? And when you went out of that trust, what did you do to bring yourself back? Was it just a mental thing, or did you also?
Look, my mind is very busy. So if I've got something to worry about, this little mind just holds onto it and doesn't want to let go. So every time I felt like I was getting nervous or those doubts crept in, I literally put my hand on my heart and I said, I'm here now.
Yeah.
I connected with whatever it is. And I just said, if it's meant to be, then show me the way.
Yeah.
Or give me a different opportunity. And just in that moment, by taking a few deep breaths, imagining all your chakras are balanced and centered and connecting with that higher power, it just takes all the stress away and all the shadows just get lit up by magic. And the knowing is so bright.
It is, yeah. But also, and that's what I love. I also do that, and I just say to myself, all the parts, I love you, I see you, because it's a fear that comes up. But the fear is just an old pattern. It's just I love that the moment you feel that, or you felt that, you step back into your power and say, okay, I see you, I embrace you, and now I'm taking the steps to bring you back into where I want to go, whatever that may be, because you're still in I love that as well, the open questioning. So you're asking the universe, guide me, support me, show me the way. If this is aligned, help me with that. If something else is, but you're bringing yourself back to inner peace instead of. So the moment you notice it, and I think that's an important key, because it's not about always being in a blissful state, because that's not life on earth. We're here to experience, and we experience through both. But it's not being afraid of going and knowing that we can recenter within ourselves, and knowing we have a tool, whatever that may be, because that's also, I think that's also why an important lesson in this time. There are so many things, so many resources, so many meditation tools, so many practices. But it's finding within your own body, within your own field what works. And I love that. You placing your hands on your heart and just reconnecting and saying, show me the way. But that is also, again, being in trust that there is a higher connection, that there is something outside of the things we can see, feel, sense with our physical things that can support us. And that, yeah, I love that.
Another beautiful tool that helps me is knowing that 99.999% of all the negative feelings that we go into don't belong to us. They're not even ours. No. Because an infinite being doesn't get negative. They don't get depressed. They don't, an infinite being is almighty. It's absolutely incredible. And, even if, and I'll just use myself as an example, I've got anger that comes out, this anger and irritability. And when I'm with my family, there's almost no filter. I lose the awareness to just take a step back and go, hold on, this is an old pattern, but at least I recognize that there's anger there. And I actually realized that anger you know, and your family will turn it around on you. They'll say, oh, you know, you're so angry. Why are you so angry? And then you make yourself wrong for being angry.
Yes.
That anger is actually not even mine.
No.
My parents were probably angry and I was 2 years old, and it's a pattern that I learned from the minute that I could sense anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute I get angry now, I'm like, oh my goodness, this isn't even mine.
No.
And I'm able to take a step back and laugh at myself, because now that I've identified that it's not mine,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do anything with it. I can just return it to sender with consciousness attached and
Yes.
move on. Yeah, so that was huge for me as well. Just realizing that, you know, something that's triggering you, that's been with you for the longest time, go back to the source and ask yourself, where does this come from? Yeah. And once you identify that, if you can return it to sender, and once you've done that, you'll be able to pick it up and have that awareness and be able to take those few steps back.
Yeah. But it's stepping out of the limitation of certain emotions and seeing it from the broader perspective and then sending it back. Yeah, because we have so many things that also are within the collective consciousness, within family lineages. There's so many things that have been piling up, but it's again also taking responsibility, because the moment you notice it, okay, I feel I'm angry, where does it come from? It is, instead of only being in the limitation of, oh, I feel anger, you're choosing to see it from your higher self, or from a broader view, and see whatever it needs to go back, whether it's yours or whether it's you picked it up from someone else, or it is within your system. In the end, it doesn't matter. It means taking just a step to come back to a place of inner peace, of joy, of excitement, because that is our true nature. Our true nature is joy. Our true nature is just, yeah, being this flow of energy, and yeah, and constantly coming back to it.
That's so beautiful that you mentioned that, because let's go back to anger. Okay, cool. You go, you feel that anger. You're like, right, what's underneath the anger? What's the anger protecting? Most of the time it's sadness. Yeah. But if you take that even a step further, what's underneath the sadness? You always get to a beautiful and positive emotion, love, joy. Yeah. And if you uncover it enough, you'll get to that beautiful place again, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and connection, because in the end, it's like us disconnecting from our true self. I think also when we get triggered, it's just also showing us, okay, this is a part where we are not connected to our essence, or we are not connected to light, or to whatever source whatever you name it. But I think that's an important thing. But in everything, it's you having a choice. And then again, the positivity where we started in the beginning, you having a choice to whatever comes up, to choose, am I staying in this vibration so it stays with me the whole week, or do I choose to shift it right now? And also by that, I love that, because by that also your interaction with your surroundings changes. Because indeed, if you take that example with your family, if you would stay in that angry state, or that would be the interaction you would have, instead of you taking a moment to, and it is a beautiful reminder of the power we hold. I think we hold as a human being, just one soul, one soul, everyone, in the end we're connected, but we hold so much power by that also, to, if we shift something within ourselves, it also shifts the conversation, it shifts the energy field, but it is much bigger. And I think also reminding us of the infinite possibilities that are within us. I think that's, if we could inspire each other to be in that state of possibility, of coming back to the essence of our being, I think so much things will shift for the collective and beyond. It goes, yeah. But it's also sometimes difficult, because that's what I sometimes see with people when you share that they have the power within them to shift their emotions and to manifest. A lot of people then go into the other state. Okay, so I've manifested this until now, instead of, and I think that's also a powerful shift point that needs to happen, instead of like staying then in the past, to really say, okay, I'm now aware of this and I want to create a new future, and to then say, okay, so I'm choosing to, in this now moment, do something different so that the outcome will be different, instead of constantly repeating. And I think that's important as well.
Yeah, that totally goes into, you know, that your point of view creates your reality. So if you have the point of view, like every time I see my family, they're going to make me angry, I'm going to create a situation that brings that up. And then I'm like, see, I'm right, my point of view, that's true.
Yes.
Constantly bringing people and situations into your life to prove your point of view, instead of not having a point of view. Because not having a point of view is not feeding into any of the rubbish that's out there, any of the drama, any of the negativity. you don't have a point of view, you are sublime and you are at so much peace.
Yeah, because again, it means you can just flow with whatever comes and you're not attached. Attachments is again such thing. We're not attached also on outcomes. Okay, I love then your Egypt example. You just knew you were going to be there, but in the end you were also not attached. If something higher than that or something different was meant to be, you were also open to receive the guidance and to be really in that state of trust and leaning. And yeah, I love that. And I think that's also a beautiful invitation for everyone listening and tuning into this conversation, that although it might be stretchy at some top points, but it's really tuning in within your heart. So your Egypt example is beautiful, tuning in within your heart. This is what I want. And then just saying, yes, universe, I'm ready. Show me the way, guide me, lead me. But it's by you making the decision. Also you making the decision when you were younger. I'm done with being like in this energy and I'm choosing to be something different. I'm choosing to step into this bigger version of myself. But it's again reclaiming this co-creation power we have, this power. And I think there's so much limitation sometimes in thought. We can create so much. We are creating our reality. Why not do it consciously? I think that's a beautiful, why not?
Well, that actually makes me remember a beautiful story. I had a hair salon, I had staff, and in 2017, I got a business partner that after 2 years, the plan was that she was going to buy me out. And in 2019, I had the meeting with my staff where it was time to finally announce that I was leaving. And I still remember this so clearly because I said, I don't know what the future holds for me. I just know that I don't want to have a hairdressing salon anymore and I don't want to do hairdressing anymore. My body was so unhappy being a hairdresser and I just pushed as much as I could until my body just said, no more, you're going to hurt your back now so you can't stand on your feet all day. No. But I remember saying to them, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just know that I need to move to Sagefield. Sagefield is a little town 5 hours out of Cape Town. So it's forest, fairies, beaches, waterfalls. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do there. I just know that I need to move and go and create something magical. And I had no idea. I moved to the garden route, which is Sagefield or part of. And every day I woke up and I was like, right, universe, show me. I'm here. I'm ready. Show me opportunities. Show me the people that I need to meet. And it was quiet for that first month. And I could have gone into fear because, you know, what do I do now? I've been identified as a hairdresser my whole life. And now I'm like in uncharted waters. But I was like, okay, well, maybe it's time for me to rest. I've been doing, going, control for the last 20 years. And I'm just going to enjoy the space. Another month went past and still I met beautiful people, had amazing experiences, but nothing that secured a future for me. And then out of the blue, a gifting economy came my way. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I was supposed to do. Anyway, long story short, got involved in gifting and I still didn't really see how that was being true to my world of being, you know, moving on to something new and creating. It was creating a new reality, but I didn't really have anything to do with it. And after that, I actually landed up in a co-creation of a beautiful gifting platform. And flashed back to that conversation with my staff thinking, oh my goodness, I knew, my soul knew, I just didn't know cognitively that that was going to happen. And I get goosebumps and I think about it. Because here I am, sure, this is now 3 years later. I haven't had to pick up a pair of scissors. I haven't had to go backwards. And so many times, you know, your mind always goes, what if? Oh, okay, if it doesn't work out this, I can do this. If it doesn't work out that. If you ever go into that, just say, shh, stop. It doesn't matter. There's no what ifs. There's no, it doesn't work out. Wherever you're meant to be, you'll be. And it never shows up the way that you think.
I love that. Yeah. But I also think that if your soul knew back then consciously, because in the end it knew, so, okay, now let's say if your mind knew back then when you were talking to your staff, I think some parts of us would also freeze because what you have been creating is so huge. You couldn't think of that by then. And also, as you were sharing the story, I again relate to what you said when you were younger. You deciding to stand in front of large groups of people. Well, with the platform you created, you've talked to thousands and thousands of people, and I think it's amazing. But you again making a choice, and you also again honoring your feeling, and I think that's also you leaping. you knowing you need to do something different, you knowing you need to move. And I always share that, like the moment we say yes to and honor that inner knowing, the next step will reveal. But it's not per se that the whole 10 next steps will be visible. It's you taking the first step, and then, but it's being brave. So it's a beautiful story of you just following your intuition, you following your guidance, and also knowing that sometimes it doesn't come as quickly as our mind would be or want to be, or yeah, and sometimes it comes in different forms, but it's being open again, being open, saying I'm ready, and then receiving. So thank you. It's a beautiful example of being brave and just sharing your message. If there was one last thing you would share with our viewers and listeners, what would it be? What would you give them as advice? Or
I think if you're listening to this, you either have you on the right path and you're just enhancing what you know already, or if you're looking for something. You know, I did so many different modalities from a very young age. I was always searching for something more. I knew that there was something more, and I would go to one meditation group and then just landing up feeling like I didn't fit in. It wasn't that the modality didn't work. Just from one place to the other, I just never felt like I could be me and be received fully. And then I realized it was because I was trying to be something that I am not. And if you want to, you know, be a healer and you're not in the stage where you're touching someone and they're healed, just you being you and being happy with wherever you're at and who you are, that is the magic. And who's to say just because you can't put your hands on somebody and heal them, that just being in your presence is enough. You know, just sitting with somebody and listening to them could be all the healing that they need. So don't ever think that you're not good enough, because you, in the entirety of everything that you are right now, are enough. You're more than enough. So just tap into that and shine. You don't even have to do anything. It's about truly being in this moment.
It is. Yeah, I love that. There are so many gems in that, because that's so important. And again, also like the example you share, like the healing with the hands, or it's doing again, instead of really being this source energy, and from that knowing that whatever needs to happen happens. And yeah, but it's also beautiful that before we close, it's also within the stars at this moment, within the energy of what is happening. We are all being invited to become our uniqueness, to become who we came here to be, underneath all these layers of everything. And it's coming back home in ourselves. And that's also what you share. When you truly are home within yourselves, you will, and that's what I love again, but you will impact people in a positive way, because you are in this field of, okay, this is me, I'm standing with my light. And then you just radiate that out in magical ways, and then it's allowing things to happen. And also reminding me of, like, you have the Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks emotion scale. But if you are in these higher vibrational states, magic starts to happen. But it's us choosing to really be in this openness and to be in this state of receiving and bliss and just being who we are, and then allowing that to ripple out. So there are so many beautiful things, and thank you for sharing your beauty and your magic. And if you want to connect with us, there are informations below, and for the rest, I'll see you in the next Soul Love podcast. Thank you for listening and tuning in, and much love.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for everything that you be, do, and are in the world.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for our connection and for everything. So see you the next time. Bye. Thank you for joining this episode of Soul Love. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can find it below. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.